Hello everyone, in this video we are going to talk about solving quadratic equation by completing the square method. So here are a few examples for us to enjoy. The first question says we have to solve the following equation by completing the square method. So the first question says 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 equal to 0. So here is the solution. The first thing we need to do in completing the square method is make sure the coefficient of x squared, that is the term, the variable x squared, its coefficient is 1. So looking at this equation, we have 2 in the coefficient of x squared. So what you need to do is to divide all by 2, so to reduce the coefficient of x squared to 1. So we have 2x squared divided by 2 plus 5x divided by 2 minus 3 divided by 2 equal to 0. After that, we have these 2, we cancel these 2, so we have x squared plus 5 over 2 x minus 3 over 2 equal to 0. The next step for us to take is to take the constant term, which is minus 3 over 2, to the other side. You take the constant term to the other side. So we have x squared plus 5 over 2x is equal to, it is minus 3 over 2 here. So when it goes to the other side, it's become plus 3 over 2. But you won't write the plus since it is positive. Now, after that, you divide the coefficient of x. The coefficient of x here is 5 over 2. So you are going to divide the coefficient of x by 2. You square it and you add it to both sides. So here, the coefficient of x is 5 over 2, right? We have our coefficient of x to be 5 over 2. Divided by 2, that is 5 over 2 divided by 2. Now, this is a fraction. How do we divide fraction? What we are going to do here is we make use of reciprocal. So it is 5 over 2 divided by 2. So when you reciprocate the 2, it will become 1 all over 2, and the division sign will now change to multiplication. So this one will give us 5 over 2 times 1 all over 2, and this will give us numerator will multiply the numerator, that's 5 times 1, that is 5, divided by denominator will multiply the denominator, that is 2 times 2, that is 4. So the coefficient of x here divided by 2 is 5 over 4. So you raise it to the power of 2. So we have x squared plus 5 over 2 x plus, then you put it into bracket, the answer that we get here when we divide the coefficient of x by 2, that is 5 over 4 all squared. It will be equal to the term here, this is 3 over 2 plus the term here, that is after dividing your coefficient by 2, then you square it, that is 5 over 4 all squared. Now you have to be very careful when you get here. When you get here, you don't need to evaluate the value of this. That is taking 5 squared, which is 25, and 4 squared, which is 16. You don't need to do that. Here you have only 2 terms with square. That is x here, the power of x here is 2, and the power of 5 over 4 here is 2. So we are going to write it as x plus 5 over 4 all squared. You see now that we are omitting a term here, which is 5 over 2x. So when you expand this, you are definitely going to get this back. So what you need to do is just take the x that is having square and the term here that is having square. The two terms that are having square, then add them together, bracket it, then square it. So everything will be equal to 3 over 2 we have here, plus here you have to evaluate what is in the bracket. Now 5 over 4 all square, it means it's still the same thing as 5 square divided by 4 square. When you have the square of a fraction, numerator and denominator, is still the same thing as the square of numerator separately divided by the square of denominator separately. Let me rewrite this so that it will be clear. And from here we have x plus 5 over 4 all square to be equal to 3 over 2 plus 5 square is 25 divided by 4 square is 16. Now, what's the LCM of 2 and 16? Definitely that's 16. So we have x plus 5 over 4 all square to be equal to 16. 2 in 16, that is 8. 8 times 3, that's 24. 24 plus 16 in 16, 1. 1 times 25, that's 25. So we are going to have, sorry, let me manage the space here. So we are going to have x plus 5 over 4 all square equal to 24 plus 25, that will be 49 divided by 16. Now we have 49 divided by 16. Now, as you can see, there is square here and there is no square here. So for us to eliminate the square here, what we need to do is take the square root of both sides. When we take the square root of both sides, we have the square root of x plus 5 over 4 all square to be equal to root of what? 49 over 16. Now, this square will cancel this square. This square will cancel the root, because when you square something and you take the root of that thing, nothing will change. For example, now square 7, that's 49. Take the root of 49, you still have 7 back. So when you square something and at the same time you take the square root of that thing will not change at all. So that's why the square will cancel the root. Then we will be left with x plus 5 over 4 to be equal to what? Square root of 49 over 16. Just like we have done here, when we have 5 over 4 all into brackets raised to power 2, that is, we raise it to the power of 2, it is the same thing as raising the numerator to the power of 2 and at the same time raising the denominator to the power of 2. So here, when we have root of a fraction, it's still the same thing as taking the root of the numerator separately and taking the root of the denominator separately. So we have x plus 5 over 4 to be equal to root of 49 divided by root of 16. So from there, we will have x plus 5 over 4 to be equal to, now the root of 49, that will be plus or minus 7. That's the root of 49. Don't forget, it is always plus or minus. Plus or minus. When you take root, it is always plus or minus. So you have plus or minus 7 over the root of 16 here is either plus or minus 4. So you have plus or minus 4. But remember, we only have to write only one plus or minus. You don't write it twice. Don't write it separately. And both of them, they own the plus or minus. Not that the plus belong to the 7 and the minus belong to the 4. No. Either you take plus or you take minus. Now, are you true here? No, you are not true. To get the value of our x, this expression x plus 5 over 4 is equal to plus or minus 7 over 4. Then you have to take plus 5 over 4 to the other side, which will leave us with only x here. So when you take 5 over 4 to the other side, that will become, this will be equal to minus 5 over 4 plus or minus 7 over 4. The reason why we have minus here is that the sign at the back of 5 over 4 here is plus. So when you take plus to the other side, it becomes minus. And here, are we true? No. We can still expand further. That is, we have our two values. So we have x equal to, when we want to take plus, we take plus first. That is when x is equal to minus 5 over 4 plus 7 over 4. This one will be equal to, the denominator here is 4, right? So we have 4. 4 in 4, 1. 1 times minus 5, it will give us minus 5. 4 in 4, 1. 1 times plus 7, that will give us plus 7. And that will be minus 5 plus 7, that will give us 2 over 4. And it's still the same thing as 2 here, 1, 2 here, 2. That's still the same thing as 1 over 2. Now, when we take the minus, you know here we take the plus. The plus that we wrote here is coming from here. When we take the plus, we have 1 over 2 as our answer. Now, let's take minus. When we take minus, x is equal to minus 5 over 4 minus 7 over 4. So the LCM here is what? Is 4. 4 in 4, 1. 1 times minus 5, we have minus 5. The sign here is minus, so you put minus here. 4 in 4, 4. 4 in 4, 1. 1 times 7, that will give us 7. And we have minus 5 minus 7, that will be minus 12 over 4. Minus 12 over 4, so 4 here, 1, 4 here, 3. And our answer will be minus 3. So that means the value of our x, is either s equal to 1 over 2 or minus 3. So the second question we are going to look here is the general formula for quadratic equation. That is as squared plus bs plus c is equal to 0. So here is the solution. The first thing we need to do is divide the equation by the coefficient of a, by the coefficient of s squared, which is a. So we have as squared divided by a plus bx divided by a plus c divided by a equal to 0. So this a will cancel the a and we have s squared plus b over a x plus c over a is equal to 0. After that, we take the constant term to the other side. So we have s squared plus b over a x is equal to minus c over a. After that, what we are going to do is divide the coefficient of x by 2, square it and add it to both sides. So let's first of all divide the coefficient of x by 2. We have b over a divided by 2. Then we take the reciprocal of 2 and this sign we change to multiplication. So we have b over a times 1 over 2. So we have b over 2a to be the final answer. So you square it and add it to both sides. So we have s squared plus b over a x plus b over 2a all squared to be equal to minus c over a plus b over 2a all squared. So now, these are the two terms in squares. So you add the two terms together, then you square everything. So we have x plus b over 2a all squared to be equal to minus c over a plus b over 2a all squared. See now that we did not evaluate the value of our b over 2a here. So here in the other side where the constant term is, we are going to evaluate the value of our b over 2a. But in the other side where we have x, the variables, we are not going to evaluate the value of b over 2a. So here we have x plus b over 2a all squared to be equal to minus c over a plus, just like we have done in the first question, when we have the square of fraction, you square the numerator separately and you square the denominator separately. So we have b squared divided by, when you want to square 2a, when you square 2a, you are going to have 2 square multiplied by a square. So you have 2 square times a square, and that will give us 4a squared. So you have 4a squared. So here we are going to have x plus b over 2a all squared to be equal to, the denominator here is 4a squared. When you divide 4a squared by a, you are going to have 4a. So you have 4a times minus c will give us minus 4ac plus 4a squared divided by 4a squared, that is 1, times b squared, that will be b squared. And now we are left with x plus b over 2a all squared to be equal to, now in mathematics it is allowed for you to write the one with the positive sign first before the one with the negative sign. So we are going to switch the position of this. So we have b squared minus 4ac divided by 4a squared. It doesn't matter if you still write it like this, but just to make it look perfect, it's better you always write the one with the positive sign before the one with the negative sign. Even if they give you a question like this, you rearrange it yourself by writing the one with the positive sign first before the one with the negative sign. So we have here x plus b over 2a square. You take the square root of both sides to be equal to the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 4a squared. So the square here we cancel the root. I will be left with x plus b over 2a to be equal to the root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 4a squared. Now, because we want to know the value of x, so you take this one to the other side. So we have x equal to, when you take plus b over 2a to the other side, it becomes minus b over 2a because it is crossing over the equal to sign. So we have minus b over 2a plus or minus root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 4a squared. Therefore, x is equal to minus b over 2a plus or minus, we take the root of b squared minus 4ac, that will be b squared minus 4ac divided by, then we take the root of 4a squared, that will give us 2a. Here the denominators are the same, 2a, so we take 1 out of it as our LCM. So we have minus b plus or minus root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a, and that is the general formula for a quadratic equation. Example 3, the question says 2x squared plus 4x plus 6 is equal to 0. And here is the solution. Just from the last equation that we got, when they ask you to solve any question by completing the square method, here is the shortcut. Just learn the formula. The formula is x is equal to minus b over 2a plus or minus root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. You are true. Where is your a? The coefficient of x squared is your a. The coefficient of x is your b. and the coefficient, the constant term is your c. Remember, you are taking each coefficient with their signs. Don't only take 6 here, you take plus 6. Don't only take 4 here, you take plus 4, because if it is negative, it will have big impact. So if it is negative 4 here, you are not going to take 4 as your coefficient of x, you take negative 4 as your coefficient of x. So applying this formula to this question now, so you have x is equal to, my b here is 4, so minus b will become minus 4 divided by, my a here is 2 and it is plus 2 in b, so I have 2 into brackets 2 plus or minus root of, what's my b? My b is plus 4, so I will have 4 square minus 4 into brackets, what is my a? My a is 2 and my c is plus 6 divided by the root divided by 2a. My a here is 2 into brackets 2. So here now you have x is equal to minus 4 divided by 2 times 2, that is 4, plus or minus 4 squared, that is going to give us 16, minus 48 divided by 2 times 2, that will give us 4. And we have x to be equal to minus 4 divided by 4, that will be minus 1, plus or minus 16 minus 48 is still the same thing as 48 minus 16, that will be 2, 3. So because it is 16 that comes first, now you are just going to put minus here. So we have minus 32, root of minus 32 divided by 4. So, and this is still going to be the same thing as s is equal to minus 1 plus root of minus 32 over 4, or x is equal to minus 1 minus root of minus 32 over 4. So that's the shortcut. You get your answer for solving this equation by quadratic formula. So thank you very much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe and share.